Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, continuing our series. Yesterday we looked at the Empire, today we're looking at the Lizardmen, where we're looking at what is currently available to buy right now on the Warhammer web store following the pre-order release window of Warhammer The Old World. Now I don't have any of the rulebooks and stuff, so I'm at the moment producing content which I think will be most useful to people, those people in particular that aren't interested in Tomb Kings, that aren't interested in Bretonnians. They're either new to the game or they're looking to complete old collections to find out what is still available. It's not always that easy because it's all in the Age of Sigmar section. Some of it's jumbled up all over the place and a lot of it has been renamed. But right now we're going to take a look at the Lizardmen. The Lizardmen is a legacy faction, therefore what you see in this video is what is available on the Warhammer web store now and in the future. The Lizardmen as a legacy faction, no updated rules, no new miniatures, and unless there's some random made to order period, this is what they've got. So let's see how the Lizardmen fare after the Dwarves and the Empire, who are both core factions, are in a particularly rough spot. So first up, we've got Lizardmen Lords. It's a Slann Mage Priest. Age of Sigmar listing as a Slann Starmaster. Now this is the new miniature. The one thing you've got here is in Age of Sigmar, you've got what's called now the Seraphon. The Seraphon are the old Lizardmen, so if you're looking for Lizardmen, go for Seraphon. And now you're looking for a Slann Starmaster. Some of the names have changed. Now, the one thing to remember is, of course, a lot of the bases are being changed, but they've been changed for Warhammer The Old World for rank and flank, but not for, obviously, Age of Sigmar models. Now, I don't know what a Slann Mage base looks like. This looks like this could be quite big as a miniature for the base that it's likely to be on. The potential option you've got, of course, is making the base smaller. So if the base is smaller, but of course he's now floating in the air, maybe you can make him float even higher to be able to get him in a unit of models in a sort of ranked up situation. But Slann Starmaster there, absolutely available, and a key and iconic miniature for the Lizardmen. Really nice redone and reimagining of a Slann as well. I actually really like this miniature. And in fact, I can say that for a lot of the Lizardmen redone miniatures actually look pretty good. Next up, in terms of Lords, you've got the Saurus Old Blood. You do have two options here. You've got the Saurus Old Blood on foot, as you can see, with actually a pretty nice armor set on. This is one of the original ones, and you can see he's still on a square base, but he is available on the Warhammer web store in the Seraphon. And you've also got the Carnosaur. The Carnosaur, obviously, having a different riders here. This is actually the old Croc guy. You can see him with his gauntlet, but actually listed as an Old Blood, so you can easily run him as an Old Blood on Carnosaur. So at least you do have the options there. So Lizardmen so far in the Lord section not doing too bad at all. So they've got both of their Lords which are available. Next up is the Skink Priest. He's listed as a Skink Star Priest, but here you see you've got a Skink Priest on foot. And again, this is one of the old original Warhammer Fantasy miniatures that has remained in Age of Sigmar, hasn't been redone. So yeah, Skink Priest is available. So Lizardmen, for their characters, doing quite well. So on to the Scar Veteran. You've got some different ones here. So you've got the Scar Veteran on Carnosaur. So we saw before that you could have an Old Blood, but you can also have a Scar Veteran. The Old Blood model was the old Croc Guard, but you've got the Scar Veteran version of the model here, which is quite nice. You also have the option of what was Chakax as a named character, listed as a Saurus Eternity Warden. There is no reason why you couldn't use him as a Scar Veteran. There is no Eternity Warden in the old book, so absolutely this could be a good Scar Veteran model. And then the Scar Veteran is also someone that can carry a battle standard. Well, in that case, why don't you look at the Saurus Astrolith Bearer? You can see on the right hand side here. No reason why you couldn't take him in your army as a battle standard bearing Scar Veteran. Again, Lizardmen doing pretty well. Not only do they have the heroes, they've got some variation in flexibility in there, which is exactly what you want, particularly from a legacy army. So also Skink Chief. Now this is the one that is difficult. There is no individual Skink Chief model available in Age of Sigmar and the Seraphon. So there is a warband here, which is the Starblood Stalkers. And there's actually a couple of models in here which could be used as quite nice, a Skink Chief or even a Skink Priest, depending on how you want to run it. But both these models here could be quite nice as Skink Chief miniatures. And then you've got the addition of, he could make a nice hero in a Skink skirmishing unit. Obviously, Chameleon here in a Skink unit, and then obviously he could actually be quite a nice hero in a Saurus unit. So you can actually get use of all of the miniatures in this warband. But if you want a Skink Chief, this is pretty much the only source to get it. So this is the one downside in the Lizardmen where they are a little bit lacking. Next up, Saurus Warriors, the all-important core Saurus Warriors. These have been redone for Age of Sigmar. Pretty nice miniatures. The only thing to think about is what will the base sizing be, and then think about how they're going to rank up. Saurus always had an issue with ranking up and you have to be careful how you sort of put them together, mainly because of the tails. You can see here they've got more dynamic poses, plus they've still got that tail. So just having to be careful about how these things rank up nicely. But overall, a nice reimagining of the unit and fully available and going to be around for some time, I've no doubt. Skink Cohort, an older unit, but there it is. If this is the Skinks with the hand weapons, AOS listing is just Skinks, and yeah, absolutely available, and that is your sort of cheap infantry unit. And then you have your Skink Skirmishers as well, which is still the AOS listing of Skinks. So while in the 8th edition rulebook, because I don't have the Old World rulebook, I don't know how it's listed, but in the 8th edition one, they were two individual separate unit entries. But from a miniature perspective, it's the same box, and inside the box of Skinks, you can have the hand weapons and shields, but you also get javelins and you get blowpipes and stuff like that. So you do get the options in the single box of miniatures. So yeah, absolutely available. So Lizardmen doing very well. They've got all of their core pretty much. Temple Guard, these are the original Temple Guard miniatures from Warhammer Fantasy, still available. Actually a little bit easier to rank up, as you can see here, mainly because of the way their weapons are. Shields are quite tight into the body, and that tail's actually angled down rather than straight out, so they're actually a bit easier to rank up. But they are still available, and they're currently listed as Saurus Guard. So that is the elite infantry unit from the Lizardmen. Chameleon Skinks. So like the Skink Chief, the Chameleon Skinks, not in the best position. They don't have Chameleon Skinks available as Chameleon Skinks. However, there is a warband called the Hunters of Huanchi, and as you can see here, you've clearly got a whole bunch of guys which could be used as Chameleon Skinks. I actually think they look pretty cool. They're quite dynamic, very different, but they're clearly Chameleon Skinks. I don't think you could mistake them for anything else with the way the tails are, the shape of the face, and everything else. So definitely an option here if you're looking for Chameleon Skinks. Yeah, you're probably going to have these things wasted. Maybe you can use them as unit fillers or something as well. But either way, this is your source and only source of Chameleon Skinks, unfortunately. So that's another area where the Lizardmen are lacking a little, but can be made up here. You can do it. Cold One Riders. So this is probably... is it the biggest? It's certainly one of the biggest issues in the Lizardmen. So at least with the Chameleon Skinks, you've got an option with the Warband, same with the Chief. Now, there are no Cold One Riders. So Cold Ones were replaced with Agrodons. So in Age of Sigmar, they're listed as Agrodon Lancers. Now, I've put them here because they can be used. However, it is important to note that the Agrodons are significantly bigger than a Cold One. So you've got options. You could use them as kind of like a unit champion if you already have some cold ones, unit fillers. You could use them as one counts as two and use wound markers. Again, we're not talking for tournament play here. We're talking about just being able to get Lizardmen on the table. And yes, I do talk about tournament play because as far as we know at the moment, only Games Workshop tournaments won't allow legacy armies. I'm sure a number of other tournaments will. But yeah, with the Cold One Riders, that's a difficult one. These are quite a bit bigger. Maybe if you don't have any other Cold Ones in your army, then maybe you can run these guys and just accept that they're slightly bigger. But you're going to have to bear in mind the specific base sizing that will be allowed for the miniature and how these guys will fit on it. I don't own any Agrodons. I do own Cold Ones, and I don't know what the base sizes for them is, so I can't tell you in this video how it will work. But at the moment, this is your only option of trying to make a Cold One Rider unit. Okay, Kroxigor been reimagined. These are new miniatures for the Seraphon army. They're listed as Kroxigor on the website, which is nice and easy. So, yep, Kroxigor absolutely available. And just need to check the base sizing that is allowed for the Kroxigor and how they fit with these miniatures, which I understand are a little bit bigger than the original ones. But yeah, Kroxigor absolutely available. Pterodon Riders, these are the old classic models that you see here from Warhammer Fantasy. So, yeah, absolutely. You can see them here with the Fire Leech Bolus. But, yeah, Pterodon Riders. So, if you can see, you've got Cavalry, which is the most difficult one, but there is an option for Cavalry. We've got Flying Cavalry. We've got all our infantry that we want. We've got our Lords and Heroes. So, Lizardmen, pretty solid in terms of their roster. Stegodon, big monster, so they've got that as well being available, as well as their Lord mounts. You can see this is a Stegodon here, obviously, with the skinks on top. And also monster-wise, you've got the Bastillodon. This makes two different kits, one with the solar engine and obviously one with the Sotek, which is all the snakes thing, the Ark of Sotek with the snakes and stuff coming out on the back. Both of those available, obviously, in that same kit. But Bastillodon, so another monster available, obviously all in plastic, which is very nice. And then you've got the dual kit of the Pterodons, which is the Ripodactyl Rider. So you've got another unit of flying cavalry now. Lots of variation, which is good for a legacy army that's not getting any new miniatures. Ancient Stegodon in the rare category, and this is listed as an Engine of the Gods. So if you're looking for this, you just type in Engine of the Gods, and this is what you'll get. You can see the Engine of the Gods here on this Ancient Stegodon. So salamanders came in hunting packs in the old 8th edition book. Now, whether salamanders are in the army list, it remains to be seen. However, the original salamander hunting pack is gone. There's a new Age of Sigmar listing, which is the Spawn of Kotek. Now, these actually do look very similar to the salamanders, and therefore, in my mind, they would make a pretty good replacement for salamanders if they're in the army roster, and if you can make them fit with the base size, I'm sure there's a way to do it, and you've got the handlers and crew, which match in terms of what the numbers I have in my 8th edition book. Like I say, I've yet to see that in the old world, but salamanders, definitely an option, taking the Spawn of Kotek as that. Troglodon, one of my favourite miniatures. I really love the Troglodon, just a really cool vibe about it with the forked tail and the skink oracle on it. But Troglodon, again, absolutely available in Warhammer The Old World. You can buy this right now. So, yeah, I mean, Lizardmen, pretty good position. So, when we actually look at missing units, they've only got two, right? The Jungle Swarms, which you could probably, with bits that you might get off something like the Slan or some of the new models where there are lots more bits to them, is missing, but you could probably make something up with that. The Jungle Swarms are important because if you're going to run a Bastillodon with the Ark of Sotek, then you had rules buffs to jungle swarms. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but that certainly was the case, that jungle swarms and Bastillodons with Arcs of Sotek were a key symbiotic relationship. The Razordon hunting pack is missing. So overall, they're missing 2 units out of their entire roster. Yes, there's some reaching for the Skink Chief and the Chameleons, but it's absolutely doable and viable, and the Cold One Riders being the most difficult. But the Lizardmen in a very, very good position, I have to say. They're a legacy army, and what we're seeing is, and we know, of course, the core armies, look, they will be getting a full release, they will be getting new models. We don't know when, that's the question. So, you know, it could be some time before we see High Elves, Wood Elves, Empire and Dwarves who can't really make any armies, but, you know, the demons... they're in a pretty damn good spot. Dark Elves too, and as we've seen here, the Lizardmen as well. So picking a legacy army right now, actually you've got more miniatures that you can choose from right now, and more complete army rosters right now than any of the core factions, with the exception of Bretonnia and Tomb King. So not a bad place to be in, lots of choice. Yes, you can't play in GW official tournaments, but doesn't stop you playing with your friends. And I think last time I saw, less than 10% of people actually played in tournaments, and I played in my local area. I expect my local area tournaments to be allowing legacy factions, and even then less than 10% of my games are in tournaments. They're actually playing at home and everything else, so I will get plenty of use from it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button. It's free for you to do. It means a huge amount for me, so thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Owl. I'll see you all very soon.